You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of the short story through to the line edits of the full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
The following message contains a special offer for listeners of this station. Are you a man over 40? Are you constantly looking for the nearest bathroom? Do you wake up multiple times a night to use the bathroom? Right now, Perfect Prostate is sending out free bottles of their groundbreaking new formula to listeners of this station. Perfect Prostate formula was developed by medical doctor Mitchell Fleischer, and its ingredients have been clinically studied to reduce your frequent nighttime bathroom visits and promote healthy urine flow. Right now, preferred customers get their first bottle of Perfect Prostate absolutely free. There's nothing to lose. Perfect Prostate is guaranteed to reduce that constant urge to use the bathroom, especially at night, and promote healthy urine flow. Don't wait. Call now for your free bottle. Just pay shipping and processing. Dial 1-800-675-0251. That's 1-800-675-0251. Supplies are limited. One free bottle per household. Call now. Dial 1-800-675-0251. That's 1-800-675-0251.
Hey folks, I want to introduce you to a friend of mine, Dr. Richard Harden. We are on the same mission, which is waking up America. We just have different paths. So stay tuned for some information on how you can keep up with Richard and all his work.
Visit Richard's website at raharden.com. That's the World Wide Web at RAHARDIN.com. At his website, you can see a summary of the 6 books he has written, where purchases may be made. He also has a link to 18 videos on YouTube and several blogs about Christian beliefs. If you prefer, visit Amazon.com/Kindle and type in Richard Harden to see and purchase his books.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps stand ready to defend the American way of life. The few, the proud, the Marines.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it. There to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lessons of how they in their lifetime must do the same.
I'm not ready to end the fight. I'm not ready to back down. 'Cause I've been through hell and I don't have time to go round and round and round. It's too late to turn back now. You know I wouldn't if I could. 'Cause I'm proud as hell. I can't bring myself to do what it is you think I should.
All right, folks, it is Thursday, February 9th, 2017, and the world is coming to an end. The liberals are having a meltdown, and, well, I mean, it's kind of been that way since November the 9th, 2016, so no surprise there. Anyway, this is the Jenn and Rick Show. I'm one half of the crew, Mr. Rick Robinson. I'm joined by the other half of the crew, Miss Jen Homestead. Good evening, ma'am. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing okay. I had a very long trek with a 35-pound toddler and a stroller today. We went on quite the adventure, and I am exhausted.
So wait, I'm sorry. I'm having a discussion with the station manager at the same time. So you had a travel adventure today? Is that what you said?
Oh, we just, it was one of those things where we're going to walk and we're going to go, we have one of those, like centralized mailboxes in our subdivision. So we're going to go down there and get the mail, which then turned into, no, we'll go over, walk this way. Anyways, 4.5 miles later, we're finally on our way back home. And, he might have gotten a nice little relaxing ride, but I wasn't exactly prepared for that today. So I'm tired.
Oh, fun times. I don't know if I would survive miles of walking or bike riding anymore. I'm too old. Just, I know everybody hears me and they're like, oh my God, he sounds like he's 30. No, I wish. That's all I'm going to say is I wish. All right, so lots of stuff to talk about in the news today. Lots of craziness. There's been more and more developments over this temporary travel ban by Donald Trump. Although, interestingly enough, everybody's having kittens over this now. Nobody said anything when Barack Obama did much the same thing during his presidency. Anybody remember when he stopped allowing Iraqis to come into the country? Did the left have a fit then? Did they riot in the streets? Did they shout about human rights abuses? Any of that?
Right. No, they let it be. But I think so much of this, and just like everything with Trump, it seems, it was just kind of chaos and knee-jerk and reactionary, and this was not implemented well. It was not clearly stated, so there had to be some follow-up clarifications by White House counsel that made this kind of a mess. And so, all of those stories of the people being detained at the airports and all that kind of crap, well, some of that did actually happen. It wasn't because people were being straight up denied. It was that there was confusion about green card holders, visa holders, all these sorts of things that they did follow up with and did clarify. But the initial implementation was just a little bit of a disaster. And that's what you get taken to court over, basically. That's all it takes.
Well, I mean, to be fair, I mean, that was one of the things that I could criticize. Something that drastic shouldn't have been rolled out over a weekend. There should have been some time to prepare everybody. They should have, put out notifications that, hey, from this point forward, we're going to be restricting travel from these areas for these reasons. So let's have some time to get that situated. But at the same time, I mean, the left's overreaction on all of this is just astounding to me. Because when President Barack Obama did much the same thing, and he actually did it multiple times under his administration, no one said a word. No one was rioting in the streets. No one was lamenting about how we're becoming this fascist nationalistic country. They just said, well, he's probably got a good reason. Let's go back to watching The Price is Right, shall we?
And at least one of the times it didn't even really make the news. I mean, it was probably mentioned here or there a little bit, but it was not anything that most Americans were even aware of. So, that kind of tells you what you need to know about that. Also, I'm really getting sick of calling it overemphasizing ban. When if people are going to actually talk about what this is and have any idea what's going on, it's really a pause or a stay or a hold while they figure out what to do. It's not exactly a ban. It sounds so permanent, and that's not what this is at all. It's 30 days and 90 days in most cases. So just even that is misleading that they just keep repeating that over and over. But that's how this goes. But it was sloppy from the get-go, created confusion, and this is the result, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I won't disagree with the fact that it was sloppy. I just think it's funny that so many people are overreacting on such a visceral level about something that the previous administration did multiple times, and most of the time, like you said, it barely even made the news. I mean, there were a couple times I didn't even know what happened until months after the fact, and I'm like, are you kidding me? Nobody said anything about any of this? Really?
Right. Well, I don't think that we know that they're not interested in being consistent. We know that they're not really interested in being honest about things when comparing presidents. They want to be for theirs and against the others, and the right's guilty of it too. But and that kind of brings me to something, that there are a lot of things kind of happening that's kind of par for the course, except for that Democrats control the media. So now they're finally out of power. They've controlled everything for 8 years. The media just were their little lapdogs for 8 years. And so all of these things that they are outraged about, the media is also outraged about, and they are reporting on them, just like they always cover every whim and will of the Democrats over the last 8 years. So we're kind of getting beat over the head with this, when in reality, this is just kind of how it goes. And it just seems very overblown. When a new party takes over the presidency and has control of Congress, then these kinds of disagreements and these fights, they do happen. They're just not always so widely covered, and they're not made to be. Obviously, Trump is his own beast, but I just mean in general the kind of Republican-Democrat divide and making everything like such a big deal is pretty, it's pretty typical. Maybe not to this extent, but this is kind of how it goes, at least for a while. The difference is I just don't think that this time it's going to settle down, and Trump doesn't help any of it.
Yeah, no, I mean, he really doesn't, because he just continues to be his own worst enemy in a lot of ways. Look, I'm not a Trump cheerleader. I'm going to tell you about the things that I agree with that he does. I'm going to tell you the things about that I disagree with what he does. And one of the things I really wish he would do is just put down Twitter. Just stop it.
Yep.
Just just stop it.
Yeah, unfortunately, they haven't figured out how to take that away from him yet. And I think that he goes and searches things to to be tweeting about, which is just kind of crazy. And, they show all this stuff. I mean, it looks like he is busy 24/7. Like, when do you even have time to scroll Twitter and to even think about typing these things? But whatever, it's how it is. I was going to say, though, about this Ninth Circuit ruling, one of the things that people were really questioning about the travel ban, was whether or not the state of Washington and Minnesota, but mainly Washington is what everybody knows about the case that's suing him, whether they have even the standing to sue, if they even have the standing to take the Trump administration to court over a very federal issue, which is immigration, and is absolutely under the executive's control in at least one part, and then Congress on other parts. But so a lot of people have questioned that, and with this ruling that came out today, they basically said, yeah, they can. And they did a little bit of gymnastics to get there. They basically said the state has standing based on state universities that would have green card holders or immigrants that would be there. So basically, on the behalf of their state universities and scholars and students that would be impacted by the order negatively, which this is really kind of freaky because it expands the powers for state attorneys generals to basically act as lawyers for potential immigrants, because state institutions might lose money if these immigrants, illegal or not, are not allowed there. It's a pretty broad expansion of what the states can do and what these attorneys generals can do and what the rights of these immigrants are. It's really kind of crazy. It's like act on behalf of immigrants as a class. And David French wrote a really good piece in National Review about this that's on National Review Online right now, that goes through the kind of 4 or 5 main things why this is all very bad. He also talks about it being sloppy and that this kind of thing invites judicial meddling. So it kind of stinks that we got here in the first place. But so it's just that one that it's kind of a weird way in which the court even said that they have the grounds to fight the feds on this and to take them to court. The second one is the court basically determined that it had the constitutional authority to review and determine, the legality of this order, which most people agree with. And the third is it extended potential due process rights beyond green card holders to citizens that are from these countries that would be entering the nation for the first time. I mean, they're basically saying that that possible due process rights to illegal aliens, people that aren't even on U.S. soil, and that's kind of a problem. You're supposed to either be a holder, but even if you're a green card holder, you have to be on U.S. soil for those due process rights to apply to you.
Oh, see, hang on, stop right there, because I'm glad I heard you mention that, because I have heard that due process thing mentioned with the green cards all day today on several different shows and several different channels. All the leftists are like, but green card holders have the right to due process. You're right. And not a single host has mentioned this. So thank you, because they're right. Yeah. They do have access to due process, but only once they are on American soil, because it is a right exclusively covered within our Constitution. And for that to work, you must either be on our soil legally, or you must be an American citizen and be on American. I mean, that's why in other countries, when you get to our embassies, our laws still apply on those embassies, because it's considered American soil. So it's the same basic concept. Yes, green card holders have due process rights as long as they're on American soil. If they're not, it doesn't matter.
So here's what French writes. He says, the court is going to stop enforcement of a temporary pause in entry from jihadists and jihadist-torn countries because there are potential claims regarding possible due process rights even of illegal aliens. That's not deference. Moreover, if you actually followed the cited legal authorities, you'll see that none of them are on point with this case, and all of them deal with highly specific individual legal claims. Yet, the court used this quote-unquote authority to grant sufficient due process rights to potential immigrants to halt enforcement of a wartime executive order motivated by the desire to protect America from the rising threat of jihadist terror. And he says that is astonishing. And I think he's right. And I've actually have talked to a couple other friends that have some legal expertise and everything that I've been trying to read as much as I can on this. And that seems to be one of the huge oversteps. And there's several just in this ruling. There's like 3 out of the 5 things that this court ruled are huge. I mean, they just crack this wide open. It's just a lot of dangerous precedent to set. As we do know, though, and before we get to the last 2, as we do know, the Ninth Circuit is definitely the most liberal of the circuit courts, and it is also the one that tends to get smacked a lot. It gets overturned more than any other court of appeals. So that's something to keep in mind with all of this. One of the things that happened with this, though, is that back to the green card with due process, is that they were acting as if they were ruling on the original EO before the White House counsel made clarifications that now are attached to that EO. They are ruling as if they never made the clarification that it did not include green card holders and did not include specific visas. So they ruled on it as if it did include them. So that's part of the reason why they're trying to say they dismissed the White House counsel's clarification and are trying to rule on the initial part and basically set some sort of standard for due process in regards to green card holders and other immigrants, which is really kind of crazy, whether they're legal or not. Then so this is the one that French says cracks open Pandora's box. So, and that is because the court implied that it would consider using some of Trump's campaign statements to determine whether the executive executive order violated the Establishment Clause. So, even though the order didn't call for a Muslim ban, no matter what the media wants to say, and even though during his campaign he, said various different things, it's really pretty crazy to jump from sweeping campaign statements made during an election process to be held accountable for those when discussing an Establishment Clause violation, basically. It's not that it's completely unprecedented, but usually not something like this, not campaign promises, which are not necessarily indicative of any true intent, as we all know, because they rarely follow through, right? So that's a huge one. And then the last one is basically that they said the government, this is actually from the court, the government has pointed to no evidence that any alien from any of the countries named in the order has perpetrated a terrorist attack in the United States. So whether an attack has been completed in this country or not is now the standard for implementing security measures? No, that's insane. The president absolutely has every right to heighten security measures, regardless of whether there has actually been an attack on our soil from a person from said country, which also, by the way, that wasn't even true. That wasn't even completely true. That was a very generalized thing, and people are already debunking that. But so that's where we're at. And like we said, the Ninth Circuit is always aggressive and activist and extremely liberal. They also get smacked down a lot. The worry here is that with the court still split, if they tie, then it is upheld. The Ninth Circuit ruling is upheld. So I French makes some suggestions on what the Trump administration could do. I don't personally know what the best route to take is from here, because it kind of seems like until Gorsuch is confirmed that this is maybe a losing battle.
You know, it's interesting that you bring up the Ninth Circuit because, of course, they're all in the news right now. Apparently, the Republicans have a plan to deal with the Ninth Circuit. This is actually coming from The Blaze. As the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals has just struck down Trump's executive order on the travel ban, Republicans are simultaneously moving to pass a bill that will split the court up. According to Fox News, Arizona Senators Jeff Flake and John McCain have introduced legislation that will take 6 states out of the court and create a whole new 12th district. According to Flake, the court is overburdened, bloated, and slow. It represents 20% of the population and 40% of the land mass in that jurisdiction. It's just too big, Flake told Fox News on Wednesday. We have a bedrock principle of swift justice, and if you live in Arizona or anywhere in the Ninth Circuit, you just don't have access to that. So, interesting play by Congress. Apparently, they're tired of dealing with the Ninth Circuit, and they're going to find a way to deal with it one way or the other.
That is really interesting. I think what they're saying sounds pretty reasonable. It sounds legit, but you just kind of wonder about the motives underneath. I mean, of course.
It reminds me of, I don't know if anybody else watches this show, but I watch Suits when it's on religiously. It happens to be one of my all-time favorite shows on TV right now. And it reminds me of something that was said last night because, I mean, I don't want to give too much away for anybody that does watch it and hasn't seen last night's episode. But anyway, there was a point where there came a time where the firm was being asked to do something that would be considered unethical, and they were specifically like, well, it won't be unethical if we can prove that there really is a reason to sue these people. And I'm like, so facts to justify the narrative, to justify the plan. Sounds a little bit like this. I'm not going to cry foul because I don't much care for the Ninth Circuit. And honestly, if those numbers that they just mentioned are even anywhere near true, it may not be a bad idea to split them up. But at the same time, I'm wondering if they were not so liberal, would this be a big deal?
Right. I mean, I think that's probably true. I do know, though, however, even when I was, studying constitutional law, that my one of my professors who was extremely left-wing constantly complained about the slow rate of the Ninth Circuit. So maybe there is enough truth to it that it would actually be in the best interest of people, even though it would also double as a bonus for the Republicans to split it up.
Nice. I mean, like I said, if they actually manage to split up, as a former talk show host that I used to listen to religiously until he kind of went even too extreme for me, used to call them the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. If they can find a way to split them up, I'm all for that, honestly, because a lot of their rulings that I have watched over the years have been absolutely crazy. And I don't really agree with this one either, to be honest. I mean, I understand the concept of it, but I don't understand the idea of applying due process to non-American citizens. And most of these people that we're talking about aren't even on U.S. soil yet. So how could, under any circumstances, since they are not U.S. citizens, could they have any type of access to due process off of U.S. soil? Because let's not forget, as American citizens, when we're on foreign soil, we don't have the same rights we have here. That's why everybody warns you when you travel abroad. You have lots of freedoms here, but you need to be careful, especially if you go to certain places. And they'll name off countries where basically, if you as an American do something, and you can do something like steal a loaf of bread, and you're going to be in jail for 20 years to get your hands chopped off. Because you are subject to the laws of that particular country that you are on until such time as you are able to be extradited over to the embassy if the country that you're in happens to have one. At that point, all of your rights and due process rights would be restored because you're back on American soil. Well, the idea that we could extend this stuff to people that aren't even citizens, though, I mean, where does this stop? It goes back to what we were talking about on Tuesday. Are we just going to? I mean, is the world suddenly going to become America? Is that the plan? Are we just going to adopt everybody and say we're all Americans now?
No, because at the same time, they say that they want everybody to be afforded all these things of us, but then they also say, whoa, big bad America, stay out of there and close those bases here, and you don't have any business interacting in that. And So they want it both ways. They want us to give all our money someplace, and they want us to stay the hell out of it and not be a part of, not meddle in their business. But then they want everybody who even has a thought of being American to be afforded all of our rights and all of our benefits. It's just really inconsistent.
Well, I mean, that is the one thing they're really good at, is being inconsistent. All right.
They're consistently inconsistent.
We have officially hit what would normally be the bottom of the hour if we hadn't gotten a late start. We're going to go ahead and take a really quick break. When we come back, still much more to talk about. I actually have an announcement about a fellow host here on KLRN Radio who just finally managed to accomplish something that few other people have, and we'll talk about that when we get back. And also more with the crazy liberal left. We have an Indian wannabe talking about how someone else shouldn't be racist, and and so much more. I mean, honestly, I just don't even know where to go from here. So we are going to take a really quick break. When we come back, lots more. So stay tuned. You are listening to Jenn and Rick right here on KLRNradio.com. Don't go away.
I'm not ready to end the fight. I'm not ready to back down. 'Cause I've been through hell and I don't have time to go round and round and round. It's too late to turn back now. I wouldn't if I could. 'Cause I'm proud as hell. I can't bring myself to do what it is you think I should.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of the short story through to line edits of the full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
The following message contains a special offer for listeners.
I'm not ready to end the fight. I'm not ready to back down. 'Cause I've been through hell and I don't have time to go round and round and round. It's too late to turn back now. You know I wouldn't if I could. 'Cause I'm proud as hell. I can't bring myself to do what it is you think I should.
All right, folks, welcome back, and we are into the bottom half of the show, and we have been talking mostly about the travel ban, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals denial of, well, actually, I guess they upheld the cessation of that particular executive order. Now, just as a reminder, I'm no fan of executive orders. I haven't been. Honestly, I think that's one of the things that's kind of a little funny to me is because, you know, when George Bush took out his pen and his phone, the right was cheering. And then Obama got into office and he took out his pen and phone and the left was cheering. And now we have ample people on both sides that are freaking out every time Donald Trump picks up his pen. We told you so. That's all I'm going to say is we told you so. Because we've been telling you for years that at some point you're going to allow your government to get so powerful that you're no longer going to have control of it anymore. So if Donald Trump scares you as much as he seems to scare a lot of people in this country right now, the fault is yours. Because we've been telling you now for a very long time that the government was getting too far, too fast, and way too big. And y'all said, no big deal. We'll figure it out later. Guess what? Now you're all freaking out. So if Donald Trump scares you, it's probably because you've let your government get too big.
Well, they're all a bunch of big fat liars because everyone, well, not everyone, but most of these people, particularly Democrats, they love an authoritarian when it's their guy. You know, they love the overreach. They love the strong, you know, executive presence when it's someone that they feel like is doing all the things that they like and they want. I am going to say, though, and I've maybe said it here before. I don't remember. I know I've said it on Twitter. I honestly don't believe that they ever really thought they would lose power again. So I think that they brushed us off about all of this, not just because it was Republicans and Obama and you know, all of that kind of dynamic. I think that they really thought that after getting Obama in office and keeping him there for 8 years and then having a woman coming up behind him, I don't think they thought they could lose. And not just this presidency, but they think that the pulse of the American people and of our culture, because they've listened to the media and they've listened to Hollywood, that and all of the very, you know, bright blue spots across this country that are embracing all of their extremely progressive, you know, cultural, basically winning the culture war there with progressivism. They really had themselves convinced that this is where America was headed and that people had seen the light, basically, and that we wouldn't be going back. And they shot themselves in the foot. They banked on winning for the foreseeable future, and they couldn't get it done because of what they'd already done. Little sweet victory there on that front. But yeah, I really don't think that they thought that they needed to worry about it because they always assumed it would be one of their guys, aka the good guys, in power exerting this kind of authority, which they agree with.
Yeah, no, but it's funny that you bring that up because exactly. And you know how I know that you're right? Because I actually heard Bryce Robbins say much the same thing. And he is, he's an adult now. He was able to vote for the first time in this election. When we met and he started doing Finding Common Ground, I had no idea that he was like 15 years old. But he was actually a fairly smart kid, so we had him on as a guest. Fairly liberal-leaning, which I thought was odd because he's liberal but thinks guns are awesome, which you don't see happen very often. But anyway, so when Hillary Clinton lost, he literally shut down for almost a week. He was almost not on social media for a week, wouldn't respond to any of my messages for almost a week, and he finally told me, and he said this to me before the election, he said that conservatism was dead, that the Republican Party were a bunch of dinosaurs, and that conservatism was a thing of the past, and it was going to be liberals forever. And he literally said that. I actually have the audio on Finding Common Ground where he said that as far as he was concerned, conservatives were a bunch of dinosaurs. They were a thing of the past, their ideas were the past, and that it was going to be nothing but sunshine and lollipops from here on out because the liberals were going to rule the world, baby. And he was wrong, and I kept trying to tell him, look, I understand you feel that way because when I was your age and the pendulum was swinging the other way, I kind of felt that way too until Clinton got in office. But then I realized it really is a pendulum. It's going to swing all the way over to one side, and then eventually it's going to come right back around to the other side. It never stays the same way, no matter how hard you try, no matter how hard you have to push, or how hard you try to push. So what I started doing, and I've been doing since the Bush 43 administration, is asking myself this question. If I'm okay with the power that this person is wielding now, because I agree with what they're doing with this power, am I going to be okay with it when the other side gets a turn? If the answer to that question is no, then my response to whatever this power should be that whoever I'm talking about doesn't need it.
Yeah, I think there is one thing that is happening, though, when you talk about this pendulum swing. I think that it's true. It does swing like that. I do think that part of the reason the left was so confident heading into this election and has been for the last at least half a decade is because, on the battleground fields of life, they have been inching things left for a very long time, partially because they control education and because, they are putting their ideology into every facet of anything that has public funding, basically. They are winning the entertainment. They're winning the culture war on the entertainment front for the most part. They control their ideas. The people that are creating the entertainment content are all on their side and sometimes extremely far left compared to even their contemporary Democrats and liberals. So we are being pushed left, and I think that is going to continue at least socially. But I think they're very mistaken that is what the whole country wants, and that's how and that it's a foregone conclusion, basically. It's not a foregone conclusion. There are a lot of people that are going to still fight for, their rights, their Bible, their Jesus, their guns, all the things that they think are so awful about right-wingers. There are a lot of people that are going to stay traditionalists, and they're going to raise even more traditionalists. So there will always be a tug of war. I do think that they're winning some of it culturally as it is, and how could they not with everything that they are able to basically, turn the dial on. But that's the way it goes. But as far as politically, they might get these wins in some of the states' legislatures over some very absurd social justice bills and everything. But for the most part, that is turning more and more red all the time. And it's a backlash for sure from the forced shove to the left.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I don't really have very much more to add to that because, that's basically what we're watching happen right now. And I think honestly, I think the dynamic's a little bit different this time. And that's only because we've had a really scary president for the right for about the last 8 years. And now we have Trump, who is scary to some on the right and scary to some on the left. What they've actually managed to do, because of the vast and quick swings of these last 2 election periods, because we're going to count the Obama administration as a single period because he was in for 2 terms, and now so far the swing over to Trump, what they've managed to do for the first time ever is, well, the first time that I can remember in a long time anyway, they've managed to send a vast number of Americans running screaming towards the center. And I happen to be one of those Americans running screaming towards the center.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I think it also, solidified for me what conservatism meant to me and how I define it. And that some of these things that I think maybe in my 20s I thought were part of what I believed as a conservative, I realized I really didn't. That I'm okay with some things, a compromise. And, in order to be able to have power and to really be able to successfully rule a nation like the United States of America, if you're a politician, and even if you're not, you have to build coalitions. And we've gotten to the point, and I do fault the Democrats for this a lot. They did it during Bush, and then they continued it with Obama of like, no, when we control something, we control it. And so you have to bow down to us and you have to come to us. And I know that there are examples on the other side too, but it's just been so prominent for about, 12 years. With them, whether it was when they controlled Congress or when they controlled the presidency. And this idea that like we won, so shove it, doesn't exactly instill any sort of good faith in your citizenry, and it doesn't create smart policy or smart ruling. I mean, really, like it does not. You can't lead well when you tell most of the people, or not most of the people, but half the people that you're supposed to be leading to suck it up and deal with it because too bad, so sad, nanny, nanny, boo, boo. People don't take it kindly. And even among the senators and the congressmen, then they get dragged through the mud by the far right if they even tried to reach out and have some sort of co-sponsored bill or some sort of coalition. And I get raking them over the coals if they truly broke some conservative tenets. But in a lot of cases, we're just talking about compromise over policy that were never really a part of the conservative platform to begin with. And there's just differences in things like, what is amnesty? Is amnesty this or that? Is it all deportation or nothing? We've never really defined that as far as what our conservative or GOP platform is, what really our immigration policy is. Did we really think that we needed someone like Donald Trump that would maybe even suggest that they would boot every single one within a matter of months and have to use military force to do so? Is that where we were? Because if you look at how they treated several of the senators that stood on that stage and debated him in the primaries, you would think so by the far right's token. Like that is anything less than getting rid of all of them tomorrow is unacceptable. So I realize that there are a lot of things like that I thought, and I still say I'm very conservative, but I would have said I'm far right, and I'm not compared to what some of these people have made far right come to mean.
Yeah, honestly, alt-right or far right has actually kind of been co-opted. I kind of consider most people that are far right anymore more a branch of the alt-right, because they've kind of taken the extreme of the right wing and made it their home and turned it into something that even I don't recognize, because there wasn't a time too long ago that I would have considered myself far right because of my personal opinions on abortion, my personal opinions on immigration, and my personal opinion on whether or not we should have limited government. So in a lot of ways, I held what I thought were far-right points of view, but now that we have the even crazier far-right, or as I like to call them, the all-right, I'm finding out that a lot of us are starting to just get to the point where we're ready to run to the center and find ways to compromise and actually get things done, which is one of the reasons why so many of us tried to give Barack Obama a chance, because he said that was what he was going to do when he won his first election, in his victory speech, he said, "I will reach across the aisle and I will work with both sides like no other president before me." And then a few scant weeks later, calls the Republicans in for what they thought was going to be a collaboration session, puts his feet up on his desk, puts his hands behind his neck, and leans back in his chair and says, "Guess what, boys? Elections have consequences. I won. Deal with it." And now we have Donald Trump doing the same thing on the other extreme in a lot of ways. He's basically pointing a finger at the other side and saying, "Look, I won. Now you're going to have to deal with it, because now we have the House, we have the Senate, and and the American people have me." My point with all of this has been that when are we going to have adults finally come back to the table? Because we can't keep doing, well, the other side did it, so it's fine for my guy to do it now. That needs to stop. If you didn't like the things that Barack Obama was doing, now that Donald Trump is doing some of those same things, why is it okay just because it's your guy? And vice versa. This needs to stop.
It does. It really, really, really does. But of course, it won't. People are vindictive. People want to punish their foes, their enemies, especially when they feel like they were punished, and we were. I think that it's just kind of an endless circle that is unfortunately going to continue to be the demise of civility and increase the divide in this country.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, just to kind of tie it into one of the last things that I really wanted to talk about today, this whole polarization thing and this whole complete reversal now that it's not a Democrat in the White House, listening to people like Liz Warren go on and on and on about some of these appointments and just continue to spout ludicrous ideas. You know, this person who basically pretended to be another race to secure a position in a university is talking to other people about racism. I'm sorry, but pretending you're another race to me and using it to your benefit is probably one of the most extreme cases of racism I think I can probably think of just off the top of my head, and yet you're talking about someone else being a racist.
Yeah, it's hard to listen to her kind of criticize anything, actually. She brings everything back to sexism and racism, and she's just so full of it, I can't even take her seriously. I just always keep picturing that those memes of her with like a headband and a feather on, like pointing her finger, and I just think, oh, goodness gracious.
Pocahontas.
Just step down. Just step down.
So apparently she's kind of hard for her fellow senators to stomach, too. She got censured the other night, which I thought was funny.
Yes, she did, and she deserved it.
Oh, careful! You're gonna have all the leftists calling you a sexist now, because apparently the only reason that she was censored was because she was a woman.
Right. Yeah, that, and she broke rules. Now they didn't have to enforce them, and they didn't have to censure her, but it wasn't by any means the wrong thing to do. It wasn't uncalled for. It absolutely is a part of the procedures of the Senate. So I thought it was funny when she was like, "We will not be silenced. We will be heard." And I quote tweeted her and I said, I don't think anybody's saying that people, it was like, we won't be silenced. We'll continue to speak up. We will be heard or whatever. And I said, I don't think people are really trying to tell people that they can't speak up. I don't think anyone's trying to silence anyone. Oh, wait, except for you throughout the sessions debate by order of the Senate. Oh, whoops. But everybody else, all your little followers, they can say whatever they want.
I mean, it's just the whole thing of, and it's something that I brought up. I don't know. I guess was that Monday night or was that Tuesday night that she got censored? I think it actually started coming across right before I did America Off the Rails on Tuesday. I think, because I remember spending quite a bit of the show talking about that. And it just astounds me. We have literally become a country that thinks that there are no rules. We don't seem to understand that these people have policies, procedures, and rules that are supposed to govern their behavior. And yes, she was reading a speech written by another person, but then she used it to specifically target someone. That is a problem. She used it to specifically target a senator, and that is a violation of the rules of the Senate. The fact that somebody finally stood... I mean, how many other times have the Democrats done that and nobody has done anything? The fact that they finally stood up and did it, to me, I was ready to applaud. Now, the downside to this is, now that they've done it, when they are the minority party, which probably will happen again at some point, hopefully not anytime soon, but at some point it will happen, and when they turn around and do the same thing, because they will, and they get censored by the Democrats, then they're going to, this isn't fair, you're censoring my speech, we will not be silent. Wait, this sounds kind of familiar. You guys not remember when you did this to Liz Warren? And that's my only problem with it, because yes, it's great that they did it. It's great that they enforced the rules, but why is it they're only concerned about those rules when they're the party in power? Because they don't mention that type of stuff when they're not. They didn't point out all the different times when the Democrats were the party in power that they were violating that same thing that we were talking about with Liz Warren now. When the Republicans were the minority party, why were they not pointing this out? I mean, like, this violated it, this violated it, this violated it. Nobody's doing anything about it. Why? Because they think they're going to sound like whiners? They already think we sound like whiners anyway.
Right. Right. It doesn't. It has like zero effect. Oh, I don't know. I just think that it's, I just don't think it's going to get any better. I think it's only going to get worse because, unfortunately, anytime that any of these people do try to kind of reach across or at least like meet in the middle or have some, I mean, they get torn apart by their respective bases. Democrats tear apart other Dems that are even seen like, let's just even think about like, oh, I despise both of them, but let's even say Boehner and Obama golfing together. I mean, how dare you consort with the enemy? I mean, people just lose their brains over it. So they can't even do it, even if it's like for the better of the American people, because their own parties will rip them apart. So I just don't see how that's going to get much better anytime soon.
Well, actually, somebody in chat kind of mentioned, back when we were talking about when is somebody going to finally bring some adults to the table, they'd mentioned that we're going to kind of have a clean sweep through both houses before we can probably bring some adults back to the table.
Yeah.
Which is probably, sadly, more true than I want to admit. All right, so believe it or not, we are getting pretty close to the end of the show. A couple of things that I definitely wanted to make sure we touched on. First of all, I want to say congratulations to Daniel Stafford of the Stafford Voice, who's actually been a longtime host with us here, both on the original station and now KLRNradio.com. He's also one of the first hosts to officially make the transition to video. I have been toying with that idea for a while, but the more I think about it, I have to look at this face in the mirror every day, and I literally have a face made for radio, so I'm not so sure that's a good idea. But anyway, he actually finally, after going back and forth with them for nearly a year and making some adjustments and fixing some things that they said he needed to take care of, he has now officially been approved as a member of iHeartRadio podcast area, which he now joins the ranks of shows like America Off the Rails, Michael Loftus, The Loftus Party, and a few others that are actually featured on KLRN Radio. So congratulations. So far, it's been kind of an elite group. It's a lot harder than people think to get on over there. So congratulations. And I just wanted to say that because I know it's been something that he's been trying to work on for quite some time. So that's finally done for him.
Yeah, that's awesome.
We have finally gotten feedback from iHeartRadio as to why this particular show didn't make it on the first submission, so we're going to be fixing that over the next few weeks and trying again, along with the Robinson and Wright show. Finally got the feedback from them on that one, too. Turns out it wasn't anything major. They didn't send us back a "you suck" letter. It was just we were doing a couple of things procedurally that we need to fix, so we're going to get those things fixed. So stay tuned for announcements on that as well. Also, because we are just about out of them, so we've been running a contest now for a while. We have 2 of the mugs left. We've never actually officially told you how many there were, because we didn't want to make anybody be like, well, they've got like 40 of them, so I can keep trying. The good news is we've had some folks that have won. We'll be making announcements soon as to who's got them, but we're down to 2 left. So you've seen, if you're hanging out with us on Twitter, you've seen us passing around the picture of this mug that was actually put together based on custom artwork done by one of the station managers, and we're now giving it away on a coffee mug. So we have 2 left. We're going to continue the giveaway now probably through the 18th And what we're going to do probably over the next week, a couple of weeks, I will make an announcement the day of. What we're going to do is probably set a call-in number somewhere towards the end of one of the shows and be like, if you're listening and you call this number and your caller number is such and such, then we will put you down for the mug. So we're going to try that for the last couple of mugs that we have left. And, of course, you can still sign up on the website as well. And like I said, if you want one, you need to put your name in the hat now because they weren't going, and now all of a sudden they're almost all gone. So thanks to everybody who's entered so far. And on that note, I think we are just about out of time, so why don't you remind folks where it is that they can hang out with you when you are not on the radio hanging out with me, man.
Yes, come find me on Twitter at jholmstead and check out my website with some really awesome people, misfitspolitics.com.
Yeah, the lack of Weebly still throws me off. I know I said that Tuesday, but still, every time you say it, I'm like, that just seems wrong somehow. All right, so anyway, we're officially out of time. I will be back with you here in just probably about 4 or 5 minutes or so, because it takes a few minutes to get things prepped for the turnaround for America Off the Rails live right here on KLRNradio.com. And I will be back with you live tomorrow night for the Friday edition of KLRN Radio, where we have the Robinson and Wright Show 2 hours from 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. Eastern Time. And yes, I know, it's Friday, it's late, but hey, it's me and Dan are talking about politics and yelling about liberals. What else you got to do on a Friday night? Take care, folks. Have a good night.
I'm not ready to end the fight. I'm not ready to back down. 'Cause I've been through hell and I don't have time to go round and round and round. It's too late to turn back now. You know I wouldn't if I